Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern. Join me as I invite experts and friends to discuss a range of topics, from the factual and practical to the mystical and magical. Consider this your virtual happy hour filled with lively, authentic, and meaningful conversations meant to inform, inspire, and ignite your curiosity. Whether you are very real or super woo, this podcast is just for you. Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and today we're moving up to the Heart Chakra. It's been a minute since I've done a solo cast about one of the chakras, and I beat myself up, frankly, because when I started this show 2 years ago, it's hard to believe, I had decided to do a show every other Thursday, and mostly that worked out. And then I took summer off, and I'm probably going to do that again. And I have the luxury of having so many shows I can repurpose and reproduce for this summer if I do decide to take some time off. And this year, intentionally, I decided to do more solo casts. So you have heard me, seen me doing that. And one of my missions through this podcast, as you know, is to connect information I love and information I feel so strongly has value for everybody who has a body. And one of those things is the chakra system. So I've talked about this so much. I'm right now in the process of editing my first book, and the book will instruct and connect with women leaders on how to understand themselves from the inside out. What is all that about? What does that even mean? Well, understanding ourselves from the inside out is one of the purposes of my website and my business, Custom Designed Wellness, and of this podcast, The Real and the Woo. And how we connect with others has everything to do with how we are able or unable to connect to ourselves. And today's theme of the heart chakra is no accident in the way that I'm describing that connection, because the heart chakra is our fourth chakra, and it is the bridge and the connector between the lower three chakras that I've already discussed and the upper three chakras that will come later. And just like any bridge, we learn to first find it and then get across it. And some bridges, as we know, are really solid and stable. Some are really high off the ground, or some are just not that high off the ground. But bridges sometimes are hard to traverse, depending on if you're afraid of heights, depending on if the bridge is a little rickety. There's fear involved when we cross into the unknown. And that is also what happens with our heart chakra. Falling in love is one of our greatest joys, our birthrights. If we're lucky enough to fall in love one or a few times, it's risky. We put our hearts and ourselves out there. We place our tender hearts, our fearful and excited hearts, passionate hearts, horny hearts, whatever attracts you to somebody else. But we're not guaranteed that they will receive in kind our love. And so there's fear there. And especially if you've had your heart broken through relationships breaking up or someone that you love so much passing away, we get constricted and we shut down or close off this chakra. So, all right, so what is the heart chakra? First of all, the color is green. And I know a lot of you are going to be like, what? Isn't it red? No, it's green with a little pink. So there's higher heart. I think of this chakra most of the time as just like a big green glowing orb or green sunlight with a bunch of rays. Or sometimes I think of it as like a swirly cone. I mean, who doesn't love a swirly cone? I like vanilla with chocolate. I'm really big fan of tart yogurt, like frozen yogurt tart, but I like to mix up the tart with dark chocolate. Now you know that. But the heart chakra, sometimes I imagine it as a pink swirly cone with green. or green with pink, however. And the whole idea is, each chakra has symbols. So what is the heart chakra? Well, here's the symbol of it. If you can see it, might be a little blurry, but you can see the symbol on the inside is two intersecting triangles, which to a lot of people and to me looks like a Star of David. Okay. But it's important to note that they are intersecting triangles. Why? Because, like I said, this is the bridge between the upper and lower chakras. And so what happens is the top three chakras point down and connect to the heart, and the lower three chakras point up and connect to the heart. So isn't that just a beautiful, there's so many ways that these symbols, these sacred symbols, whether religious based or in this sense, the chakras, it all is from the flower of life, sacred geometry, symbols within symbols within symbols. So I just love all that. And as you know, each mandala, each lotus flower has a specific number of petals. The element of this chakra is air, and the affirmation is I love. So reminder, the root is I am, our sense of mattering, that color is red. My hashtag you matter comes from that. And then we move up to the sacral chakra, colors orange. And the affirmation statement there is I feel. So it's where our emotions reside, passions, sexuality, sensuality, creativity. And then when we move up to the solar plexus, the yellow sun, I talked about that. It's like your Freddy Krueger fireplace where you can make decisions or not. It's our seat of confidence and willpower. The affirmation statement for that chakra is I do. And then moving up to the heart, I love. And so it's right at the center of our chest. No surprise. What happens when you're in grief? What happens when your heart has been broken? You get that constriction, that sucking in of the chest. It's hard to take deep breaths when you're in grief or sorrow or fear, right? And so one of the ways I've talked about our bodies as a barometer of truth is just that. When I see a person sitting like this, there could be a number of reasons why someone sits in a slouch, shoulders rounded, chest sucked in. But one of the main intuitive hits I get about someone sitting like that is, wow, what's going on with their heart chakra? Like, why are they so constricted? Why are they so closed off? What has happened in their life that has created this imbalance, right? Whether they know it or not. So how we sit, how we stand, can we take deep breaths? So right in the center of our chest is our thoracic spine. It's where our lungs are. And so when we take these deep breaths, we are also expanding our ability to give and receive love. However, what is your definition of love? How were you raised to believe in it? Did your parents demonstrate it? How did they demonstrate it? So whether they stayed married or got divorced, I've talked about this. My parents got divorced. Because of my pecking order, I had pretty much the best deal, that anybody could have, able to build relationships with both of my parents after they split. Before they split, the house was in chaos. Lots of anger and rage and fear and depression, yelling, screaming, crying, a lot of laughter. But my older siblings saw more of that and felt more of that, and then therefore had their chakras, their internal programming, rewritten and adjusted for the lives they experienced, whereas my default settings are a little different just because of my pecking order in terms of love. So I might not have seen the definition of happy, happy marriage. What I saw was the definition of how love can be abused, how love or loving someone creates lies or deceit. But I also received a lot of love, unconditional love for sure from my mother, and conditional love for sure from my dad. So I had these two opposing views of love where I then got to choose along the way what was my own definition. So just because people stay together doesn't mean that their children aren't affected in a lot of the same ways that parents who get divorced affect their kids, So I'm not saying screw them up, because everybody does the best they can, right? If you've got kids, we all just do the best we can. Hopefully we're coachable. Hopefully we are able to say we're sorry when we make mistakes and realize that we're not perfect, nor is anyone, least of all our kids. And let's all just get along the best we can and demonstrate love how we may. But again, if you were raised in a home that lacked love, or let's say you watched too many Disney movies and you're still waiting for your Prince Charming to come galloping on the horse, because a lot of us grew up with those too, thinking, oh, that's true love, right? I'm going to go to sleep and someone's going to kiss me and I'm going to wake up as a princess and live happily ever after. So we grow up and we learn that's not real life. But if you don't even love yourself, first and foremost, then you will not be able to have a good picker. That's certainly true. How can you choose a life partner, or any partner really, for however long you're able to maintain a relationship if you lack self-love? It's just not going to work out very well. So how you show up in a relationship is really, really important. And how your heart chakra is balanced or imbalanced is really important for so many reasons, because of the way it connects all of the other chakras, right? So if your heart is constricted and closed off, then the flow of information and energy is as well. So you might be the most secure, stable person in your roots. You might really have wonderful things to express. Your emotions are balanced. You are creative and communicative in that way. You have a really easy way to express your sexuality and sensuality. But if your heart's constricted or blocked, you can't really demonstrate or receive the love you really want and deserve. And in that same way, if you're blocked in the center of your chest in this wheel, then how you express love and gratitude, how you express jealousy, frankly, or grief, which is also here, and then how you can be in love with your mind, your thoughts, your dreams, and listening and loving your intuition, and then connecting to your sense of spirit, So there's so many important aspects to this chakra that really do inform and connect with all the other ones. So if you're in balance here, then you love unconditionally. It's not I'll love you only if, it's I love you no matter what. So there's a difference. You can demonstrate compassion. You are able to make these love and heart space connections with others without fear or expectation. Again, conditionality. I love you, don't you love me, right? Let's just say I love you and have it be enough. It's hard for a lot of people. They really want it back. I mean, who wouldn't, right? But the idea is, are you okay with demonstrating love no matter what? So that's the big question here. This is where forgiveness resides, and trust in the self, trust in others. And listen, falling in love and entering into a relationship takes a lot of trust. Let's just call a spade a spade. You hope and expect the person on the other side of the table from you, on the other side of the bed from you, on the other side of the hug or the kiss that you're giving and receiving is trustworthy and able to demonstrate and receive and give love in a balanced way as well. So, we don't know anybody's baggage really until we get into a relationship. So let's just take care of the baggage that we know for sure, which is our own. Now, that's hard too. So it is a lot easier for a lot of us to quickly identify, with judgment, most likely, how anybody else walking around is messed up or screwed up. Oh, that person doesn't have great self-esteem, or that person is acting on bravado, or that person's full of shit, or this person, whatever it is. A lot of us have no trouble seeing the wounds and the issues in others. And when we take a turn and shine a light on ourselves, we're like, "Oh, no, I'm fine, I'm perfect," or I don't want to look in that mirror because it's too scary and I'm going to get triggered and a lot of stuff's going to come up. Does it mean the stuff isn't within you? Absolutely the fuck not. It means you are bypassing the hard work and the valuable work. And it's sometimes really fun to figure yourself out. And it is aggravating and humbling also. But again, if we're not able to take a good look at how we're made and what programs we're running, especially in the heart chakra, then we really are not doing ourselves a service, and we're doing anyone else with whom we fall in love or love a disservice. So, getting in touch and getting clarity with how your heart has been broken, damaged, repressed, and programmed is really important. I wrote one of my favorite Substacks using, and I've been doing this a lot because I really love connecting dots, as you know. And one of the dots I love connecting is taking familiar children's stories or familiar songs that we know and then reframing them for the modern bodies that we have. And so in this particular Substack, I wrote about the Grinch. And we all know the story of the Grinch, right? He's way up in the mountaintop. He's just a grumpy old soul with a very, very small little tiny heart. And we know that hurt people hurt people. And I'm not really sure we've ever been told, at least in the movie, why. And I'm talking about the original movie, like Chuck Jones animation. There's no better animation. You know, you can look at the live action wackadoo Jim Carrey one, but give me the cartoon any day. There's just no better one, in my opinion. Boris Karloff's voice, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." So the Grinch, we don't know why he's hating on the Who's so much, but we just know that that's where the story begins. And he just wants to destroy their Christmas. And he devises this whole plan and he abuses his poor little dog. But he, knits him the Christmas suit. And so he comes to town and he sets on a path of destruction. And what happens? Little Cindy Lou Who comes in and says, "Santa Claus, why are you taking the presents or whatever, the tree?" And she's just such a cute little thing. And he lies to her and he sends her back to bed and goes back up to his mountain, thinking he's just ruined everything on purpose. And what does he wake up to? He hears the Who's singing. And that's the beauty of the story, right? They sing anyway. They sing because they love the holiday. They love each other. It's not about the presents. It's about the magic of the season, the magic of connection. They hold hands. They sing that song that no one can really understand the words to. Wahoo, Doris, I don't know. And then what happens? Well, the Grinch's heart grows. What's interesting is the Grinch himself is green. He's green with envy. He's green with jealousy. He's green with lack of compassion and forgiveness for himself. And his little tiny heart is just a shriveled up thing. And it grows and grows and grows because of their heart song. And right there, you can probably think of so many songs. Turn on Your Heart Lights coming to mind from E.T. All the ways we sing about love and with love, that resonance, that tone also busts up and shifts around what needs to be busted and shift. And when they start singing and the Grinch's heart expands, that's one of the biggest examples that I know of in life so far of the visual of how song and sound can transform and make meaningful changes within a body. So, these chakras have symbols and colors and names. The heart chakra is Anahata, which translates from Sanskrit to unstruck, and mudras. And they also have keynotes, so sound frequencies. And the one of this is the key of F. It's 639 hertz. And so sound healing with a specific keynote can also help rebalance a chakra, in this case, this one, that is out of balance. So there's so many ways that we can connect and heal our internal structures, and sound and singing is one of them. So is breath. That's why I love that the element of this is air. I've already discussed that it sits at the center of the chest and has everything to do with our thoracic spine and where we can take deep breaths, and we're meant to, because scientifically, deep breathing also calms the body and the mind and creates a more expansive avenue for giving and receiving love. So when you're opening up these channels of communication, not just with your voice, but with your energetics, then you are more open to experiencing life in the way that we're meant to, which is a life full of love, both directions. Okay. And so another piece that I wrote about this is also something I devised, and it came to me like so many things do while I'm doing other things. So I've talked a lot about how I learn as a doer. I can also learn by sitting, but I don't prefer it. And so a lot of times when I'm on my elliptical or I'm walking, running, riding my bike, in yoga, whatever, doing the dishes, taking a shower, I'll get a download. And it was a couple summers ago, I was on my bike and this whole image came to me and I wrote about it, of how we get so revved up in our minds. And it connected to, summer concerts and DJs, specifically EDM music, right? So the DJ at one of those concerts, they pump up, they rev up the crowd, right? And they call it, the beat dropping. And what happens when the beat drops is, you're all getting revved up, and it's like a person with too many thoughts. You're getting revved up, stressed out, whatever it is. You're on the hamster wheel, or you're choosing to be at a concert and you're choosing to get all excited. And then when the DJ drops that beat, everyone's doing the same thing, which of course means we're in flow. There's ease now. So you've spent all this time getting revved up and churned up and stressed or overthinking, and you're revved up and churned up in your mind. How do you get off the hamster wheel is what I call the heart drop. So you literally take whatever's going on in too much and you drop it into your heart. And this whole image came to me on that back ride of just that. Like I literally saw thoughts dropping through heart and then this open, clear road that I was riding on through the heart. And there was calm and clarity and beauty and love. I could breathe. And it just really connected to all the joy we feel when we're dancing and all the joy we feel when we're in community doing the same thing, but then all the joy when we're in flow and we're all doing the same thing. And so anybody out there who kind of gets too revved up in head or too stressed out in gut or anywhere else you're feeling a little off, try to take that energy, take that discomfort, and let your heart carry it, the bridge. Let your heart be that bridge between discomfort and comfort, okay? Between too much thinking and the right amount of brain power. So I hope that image helps as well. So, ways to balance this area: deep breathing, specifically for this chakra. There's hand gestures, there's mudra. One of my favorite ones is Padma Mudra. So it looks like a lotus flower, and you place it at your heart. And I often, when I'm working with clients and when I'm teaching classes and we're talking about heart chakra, I often encourage people to consider they themselves are inside this green lotus flower. And sometimes I even put myself inside this beautiful green emerald in that flower too. And of course, this also connects with another piece of writing I did for solar plexus using the Wizard of Oz. But the Wizard of Oz itself is such an allegory, metaphor for all of the chakras. And you think about, well, what happens, right? So Dorothy's tossed out of her home. So her root chakra is all fucked up, she's tossed out and she lands in this unknown land. And she then uses her passion, which is singing, and she talks about her emotions and her fears, and she makes friends. So her sacral chakra is orange. It's getting empowered. It's getting its hits. And then what do? they take a yellow brick road. So the action is to get to the Emerald City. Well, you can't get anywhere without doing something. So they make decisions from their solar plexus, their third chakra, to go down the yellow brick road. And I wrote the Substack, the road's yellow for a reason. But when they get to the Emerald City, what happens? It's magical. They're in love with the city. They learn to love themselves more deeply, love each other more deeply. And then what happens is they meet the wizard and now they constrict. There's their heart's broken. They thought this man was a wizard and he's just a human. And so the story takes a little bit of a turn, but then, again, through her voice and more singing and communicating, there's no place like home. She's imagining going home. Crystal ball comes. She's connecting to something she cannot see, source, magic, fairy godmother stuff. And then she gets home. But the idea is the color green is all about love. And so you can go back and look at the movie with a whole other lens, like I do, and really learn more about yourself when you consider taking those looks from a new lens or perspective. Okay, so let's talk about people we know who have trouble here. Obviously, people who hate themselves are not going to find it too easy to love others. Conditionality is the hardest nut to crack here because it is not easy, and nor is it fun to give all of your love and not feel like you're getting something in return. But when we truly can give love for the sake of expressing it, because holding back only makes us feel worse. When we can truly just give love without expecting anything in return, then we're golden. If, however, we give love, and it can look like a lot of different things, it can actually be words saying, I love you, looking somebody in the eye, I love you so much. It can be doing something kind for someone else. So demonstrating love through food, right? How many of us, raise your hand, do you demonstrate love for your family through the foods you make? That's one of the greatest ways we can demonstrate love is cooking for those we love, especially if we just love cooking. But if we make the meal only waiting for the pat on the back and the commentary from around the table of how good this meal is, then that's not the purpose. That's not what I'm talking about. That's conditionality. So next time you're making dinner for your family, ask yourself, are you doing it for the sake of demonstrating how much you love them, or you just love cooking? Or are you doing it because you need to hear how much they love you or you're cooking? And gift giving. This is so huge. Oh my God. People who only give gifts to get one in return have a blockage here. People who give gifts of a certain monetary value and keep track of how much money they've spent on someone else and expect to be given the same or more in terms of value are also not demonstrating true gift giving. And finally, if you are on the receiving end of a gift and all you want to say is, what can I do for you now? Or this was so nice of you, and you change the subject and you don't receive the gift, you're shutting down the love you're getting when you do that. So giving gifts is a lot easier for some people, and receiving gifts is really hard, or vice versa. So just notice when I'm saying this, are you easier as the giver, or are you more comfortable receiving? And just make a note of it. And then ask yourself, where are you uncomfortable? Do you hate giving gifts because you're afraid the gift is never going to be good enough, or you didn't spend enough, or you're afraid the other person isn't going to like it? Then you're not giving gifts with your full heart. You're giving gifts with conditions of programming running in your head. And in the same way, when you receive a gift from someone, and a gift can be, you guys, a compliment. This is a huge one too. What happens when someone says, I love your hair today? Do you say, wow, thank you so much. I worked really hard on it. Or thank you for noticing. and leave it at that? Or do you say, thank you, I love your hair too? It goes back to grade school. I made a painting. Do you like my painting? I like your painting. Do you like my painting? All that shit, that's stuck in here. And it comes out when someone says, I love your jeans. No, I look so fat in these jeans. These jeans, really? Ugh, bleh. Or these jeans? God, I spent $10 on them. Whatever. So basically, you're saying the person's stupid, right? You're like, they've said something nice to you, and I'm guilty of this too. They said something nice, and you just want to be like, yeah, whatever, instead of like, wow, thank you, and just leave it. Just leave it. But it's so hard if we've got imbalances in our other chakras, if we're insecure, if we're afraid, if we can't make good decisions, then the giving and receiving of gifts, whether they are tangible things you unwrap, compliments being sent your way at home, at work, you're in a job review and your boss says you're an amazing employee and you get a bonus and a raise, and the first thing you do is deny or poo poo, babe, you got to soak it in. Okay. And if you can't soak it in, there's a reason for it. So we want to get clear with where we're triggered here in this chakra and why, without blame and with a lot of forgiveness. So forgiveness resides here. Do you hold grudges? That goes back to the Grinch. Whatever the Who's did to him in his lifetime, he's hating on them. He wants to ruin their Christmas. He's held a grudge for years and years. And, that's his story. So if you hold grudges, it's the same idea of holding onto a hot coal yourself and expecting the other person to get burned. So you got to let the grudge go, however you can do it. Having an honest conversation with the person, if you're able to, about the grudge or why you're mad at them, or just journaling about it. You can sing, you can sing grudge songs. I don't know, but you got to get that stuff out of you so that you can then rebalance this area if you're someone who holds grudges. Grudges have a lot to do with conditionality. They have a lot to do with the need to be perfect and expecting others to be perfect. So be open for how love comes your way. Be open for how gifts present themselves, whether they're tangible or metaphorical or energetic. And when's the last time you really gave someone a good hug or let somebody give you a good hug, right? Chest to chest, thigh to thigh, toe to toe, head to head, arms around each other, and stand there and take, let's say, 3 to 5 deep breaths. I promise you, you will never do a perfunctory hug again, or a side hug, or an air kiss to someone who really matters to you. And if you're feeling a little tender and you could use a hug, ask for one and ask for the kind of hug you'd like. A real, meaningful hug is very different than a hug out of obligation. But if you are unable to express your needs with your voice, then you're not going to be able to receive the love you deserve. Even just asking for the hug you want is difficult if you can't find your voice. Okay. So before I leave you, my friend Steffi, who is a fellow yoga instructor, read this quote at the beginning of a class so many years ago. And it says, and every day the world will drag you by the hand yelling, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. You need to worry about this and this and this. And each day it's up to you to yank your hand back, put it on your heart, and say, no, this is what's important. Put your hand on your heart right now and close your eyes and say, this, I am what's important. My heart, my ability to give and receive love, to forgive myself and others, to sit up straight and tall and take deep breaths, and all of that stuff that our heart chakra allows us to do. So if you're ever pulled in all these directions, as the world is saying, pay attention to this, pay attention to that, be afraid of this, be angry at that, don't like those people, do like these people, everywhere we're pulled. And on heart, remember, this is what matters. Consider how music can help you feel love and give love. One of the exercises I do a lot is taking a love song, any love song at all, let's say Endless Love. Put the song Endless Love on, listen to it, sing it, and then put yourself in it. So the subject of that song becomes you in love with yourself. Just try that. Take any love song you already love. When you usually think about it to someone else, your husband, your kid, your ex-girlfriend, your ex-boyfriend, someone in your life that you love and respect, a teacher, a coach, I don't care who it is, sing it the way you normally do. Think about the person you normally think about, but then sing it again about yourself. I promise you, it will resonate completely differently and transform how you feel about the song and hopefully how you feel about yourself. Really simple, simple exercise. So to recap, you might be experiencing a heart chakra imbalance if you struggle to receive compliments or help without deflecting. You keep score in relationships. You're always tallying who gave you what or how they gave you whatever. You feel jealous of other people's happiness and jealous of their loving relationships. You hold grudges and you find it really difficult to forgive anybody else, especially yourself. You give and you overgive endlessly until you're depleted. You've got no more love to give. You just siphon it out and you just don't ever fill yourself back up. You can't really say I love you without it feeling forced. It makes you feel uncomfortable. You keep people at arm's length to avoid feeling vulnerable. And you tend to pour yourself into others because your cup is empty. So you take on other people's emotions and other people's love and let that feed you instead of feeding yourself with those things. And you kind of get judgy for people who are overly demonstrative, PDA bothers you, or you judge people who like just express themselves. And I run into this sometimes too, saying, oh my God, I love this song, or I love that food, or I love this, or I love that. Saying I love this or I love that, whether it's food, a new pair of shoes, a song, a book. If that makes you feel like when people say those things, they don't really understand the value or meaning of love, that's an imbalance within yourself. Because there's lots of different ways we can say love and feel love for things or people. And if you have trouble discerning the difference between someone who says they love you and that same person saying they love this hot dog, again, that's something going on within you, right? Because remember, what people say is their karma, how you interpret it, how you interpret the words and the love of others is all about yours and where you're out of balance. So I'm just going to give you a couple of additional ways to rebalance your heart chakra. I already gave you the heart drop image. I gave you an idea of finding some familiar love songs and singing them to yourself. And I want you to practice hand on heart breathing, whether it's just one hand at your heart, maybe one hand at your belly, or you can come into this Padma lotus and put yourself in the middle of it, or just imagine a green lotus flower at your heart. And one other thing that you could do that might be really difficult, but really valuable is practice receiving without reciprocating. Take it in, soak it in, and leave it. Whether it's a compliment, whether it's a physical, tangible gift, whatever it is, receive it and leave it. Let it sink in, let it soak in. Not only do you deserve to feel someone else's love on you and for you, but when you try to reciprocate it and vomit it right back, the person who's giving you whatever they're giving you doesn't feel valued, They feel undervalued and they feel unloved, frankly, because they know you didn't soak it in. You didn't listen. You didn't receive. So if that is your hardest thing about self-love, let that be your practice and really, really do it. You can give somebody who gave you something nice something later. But in that moment, just accept it. Say thank you and leave it at that. You could also do a letter writing exercise called like a forgiveness letter where, maybe you're not comfortable telling somebody why you were so pissed off at them or how they hurt you. Maybe they're not alive anymore. I don't know. Write them a letter. Either write them a letter that you hope they forgive you for something or that you forgive them for something. And you don't have to send it, but it gets it out, right? It's like head to heart. That's just a different way of working the energy out so it doesn't stay within you. And that's pretty much, I think, what I want to leave you with today. I hope that was enough. I hope that was not too much. And here's something you can do for me that would demonstrate your love. I don't ask for this enough, and I'm going to start asking for it more. There are ratings you can leave here on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to this podcast. I'd love you to leave me a rating, even leave a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love you to share it and also give it a like and leave a comment. And if you want to work with me on any of the chakras I've mentioned so far, or any of the other ones, there's a few ways that you can do that. You can go to my website, which has been refreshed and rebranded a little bit to make it easier for you to find me and work with me, and also easier for you to take my energetic assessment, which is free. It's right on my homepage. You fill it out, I get it, and we have a chat about it. Everything I do begins with a conversation. So that's why I always say sign up for a free chat because it is free. But I can't work with you if I've never spoken with you. The way I work is my intuition starts going the minute we start conversing. And so I don't work with anyone I haven't had a conversation with. That's podcast guests, that's clients, that's people who want to hire me for workshops or speaking engagements. We have to have a conversation. That's just the way it is. I'm a real human and I only work with real humans. So head to customdesignedwellness.com and sign up for a free chat or take my free assessment. And I love those of you who already do leave comments and share the content with others because, listen, if you're working on something, chances are somebody else in your life could use this information as well. And especially if you're struggling with finding meaningful relationships and you know already you've got an imbalance within yourself, but let's say you're in a relationship and some of the things I've said really connect with ways you're experiencing somebody else in your life is blocked in some of these ways, and you don't want to have a conversation about it, you could say, hey, I'd love you to listen to this podcast or go find this woman. She knows a lot about a lot of things and I think you could use her help or anything like that. So that's something you can do. All right, go off and love yourself. Go find a song and sing it to yourself. And remember, you matter. And I love you for who you are, as you are. And I hope that you are able to do the same for yourself and others in your life too. Thanks so much for listening and watching. And I'll see you next time on The Real and the Woo. Have a great day.